In 1998, Dreamworks released what I feel is an often overlooked entry in their pantheon of masterpieces, a traditionally animated musical known as Prince of Egypt. The movie goes over the biblical figure of Moses, known for doing wondrous deeds like turning water into blood and splitting the Red Sea, as well as liberating an entire enslaved people. Whether or not you're a Bible head or what specific parts of the Bible you believe in, if any at all, anyone can appreciate the technical and storytelling marvels of the movie. It is a visual spectacle, an inspirational tale, and one of my personal favorites. It is also very much not the subject of this video. We all know the deal with direct-to-video Disney sequels, right? Lower budget, cash grab vibe, more misses than hits. Joseph, King of Dreams, is to Prince of Egypt what Kronk's New Groove is to the Emperors, even though Joseph never really helped an evil sorceress turn Moses into a llama. It's a direct-to-video film that, although isn't explicitly related to the story of the 1998 original movie, is trying to capture an identical energy, with the same animation style, taken down a notch because of the limited funding, the same source material, and with it also being a musical. It's a spiritual sequel of sorts, a companion piece, a less successful sibling. I first became aware of this film because I caught it on TV once, on one of the Telecine channels no less, like an actual prestigious movie. You didn't see Scamp's Adventure on Telecine, no! That channel is for legit films only. Actual cinema. And it looked a lot like Prince of Egypt, the DVD I was always asking to borrow from my aunt because we didn't have a copy. And like the child that I was, I hadn't fully developed my visual taste buds yet, and I couldn't tell that I was consuming a product of lower quality. I didn't even notice this movie had a runtime of approximately 2.5 Death Note episodes. I fell for it, and I can't even tell you if that was a good thing or a bad one. From that day on, that movie fulfilled a very specific role in my life. One that couldn't be performed by any other piece of work. But as I revisited it over the years, looking at it with a more critical eye, I can't help but feel like it's a mess. Artistically, narratively, even morally. No kidding, I disagree with this movie on such a fundamental level that I'm not even sure I can commend it. At times, I don't even think the movie knows what it's trying to do. It contradicts its own logic in a way that kinda breaks the story, depending on how you look at it. Should this one be forgotten? Praised? Laughed at? I wanna find out. Let's dream a little dream of Joseph's together, because I wanna talk about Joseph, King of Dreams. As a general warning before we get into the nitty-gritty of this, I have to say, I did not read the Bible. I don't particularly care for it either. I was raised Christian, but only casually. I took a year of classes to receive my first communion when I was 10, but it was purely because I wanted to know what communion wafers tasted like. I am going to look at this film purely from an artistic standard, and any criticisms that I make are not directed at any religion or lack thereof. Forgive me if I say something that is not very church-friendly, and let's all be nice in the comments. Also, for those of you who are wondering, communion wafers taste like the LaCroix equivalent of bread. The faintest whisper of wheat flour. Let's get into the movie. We open with a father pacing nervously while his wife is in labor. This is not his first wife, who I'm guessing was a real baby machine because she had 11 whole kids with this guy before he married again. His current wife, Rachel, is the total opposite of the first one because she was told she could never give birth. But whoever told her that was a liar because she's literally doing that right now. The child is born and is named Joseph. Since his birth was supposedly biologically impossible, the father deems the kid a miracle child and sings a whole song about it. This sets a bit of a tone for the rest of the movie, noticeable in two different aspects. 1. The songs are trying their best, but they're not as good as Prince of Egypt. 2. The same goes for the animation. There's this moment here where the father carries baby Joseph in his arms, and his brothers sing about how much they love him and want to protect him. But they're always on the wrong side of the tent, the cloth physically separating them from the infant. They're singing about how close they want to be to Joseph, but they are prevented by the very scenery from achieving that closeness. I really like that. It's a way of visually foreshadowing the abyss of distance that will grow between Joseph and his brothers as the years go on. Unfortunately, the song doesn't really have any other moments that are this visually significant. It's trying its best, but it's not fully getting there. Anyway, the song is good because I made a version of it that I sing to my cats. For you are a baby meow. You are a cat. You are a kitten. The dad sings about how Joseph is a miracle child, and he's perfect and amazing and a beautiful gift from God. The movie illustrates Joseph growing from a kid to a young adult, and by the end of the song, the boy himself is repeating his father's words, showing that because he was raised being told he was a miracle child, he actually started to believe it. His brothers aren't so convinced though. They resent the idea of having to work while Joseph gets to stay inside and study. Rachel makes him a beautiful coat of sparkling thread, but the brothers have to walk around in old rags. They don't see what's so special about Joseph, and honestly, right now, there really isn't much. All Joseph did was be born. He hasn't done anything particularly amazing. This will soon change though, because Joseph has a dream. Oh, we're getting to the good stuff. I love the idea of significant dreams. In real life, I am a huge fan of dream interpretation, and this is something that has helped me understand myself better even at times when I was lost in confusion. When a character has plot-relevant dreams though, heck yeah. It's so good. And Joseph's supposed to be the king of them, so I'm excited to see where this is going. The visuals are so helping elevate the experience for me. They go with this shifting Van Gogh-esque style of painting, and it really creates a mystical, otherworldly experience. Joseph follows the creatures in this ever-shifting landscape, coming across the body of a ram that had been killed by a wolf. When he awakens though, the ram is fine. Nothing to worry about. But then, the wolves show up. Something to worry about. And the ram does die, just like in his dream. This is the true miracle of Joseph. His dreams foretell reality. On the next night, he has another dream, and we are once again given a chance to admire the vibrant, flowing visuals. Joseph sees his brothers and the wheat that they carry, and suddenly it all bows down to him. The men, the fields, the universe itself. The brothers are not into this symbolism though, because they're still on the Joseph hate train, and I'm kinda siding with the brothers here. Growing up seeing your father favor your youngest sibling over you, repeatedly and unconditionally, must have been infuriating. It's sad to think of how, no matter what you do, you will never be worthy of the true extent of your father's love, simply because of the way you were born. So when their little brother wakes up and tells them that he dreamed he was better than any of them, they kinda have to go, yeah, no kidding. You've been told you're better than us your entire life. However, this leads to a kind of hilarious moment where the dad doubles down on the dream and says that Joseph really is better than them, and the brothers are like, oh yeah? Even better than Judah?
Are you saying that Joseph belongs above all of us, even Judah?
Which, yeah, it's Bible times. It was the societal norm that the oldest brother should be regarded as the most important, but this is so funny. It's like, no, you see, favoring one of the brothers over the rest isn't the problem. They're cool with that. The issue is that the dad picked the wrong brother. It just kills me, I'm sorry. This is when the mom chimes in with our second song of the movie, and it's not half bad. She sings a ballad about how Joseph is still young and has much to learn. It's not a matter of him being more special than the others, or whether or not that's even true. His greatness should come from how he uses his gifts, whatever they may be, and treats others with respect and kindness. This is such a balanced perspective, and it masterfully complements what the father believes in. Miracle or not, Joseph will only ever be as good as his actions. And then the brothers sell him into slavery. Whoops. I mean, okay, this is Bible times. I guess selling your younger brother is the modern day equivalent of, sitting down on the seesaw and trapping him up on the other side. With a lot more trauma and forced labor. Maybe your stepmom doesn't make you fancy coats because she knows you guys walk around with no shirts on half the time. Was that the camel noise from Age of Empires? God, this is really distracting. The brothers stare out and smear Joseph's coat with blood so that the father thinks he was killed by wolves. Okay, can you guys stop that? The slave traders bring Joseph to Egypt and we get kind of a banger. It's no Deliverus, mind you, but it's such a striking and potent melody, with a haunting chorus of voices that really sells you on the grandeur of the Egyptian Empire. It's like, boom, this is Egypt. I will say that Egypt looks a little bit small. Even when they show us super big and impressive monuments, it's like, yeah, I've seen bigger. Joseph is sold to the captain of the guard, but the guy's wife thinks that the boy is wasted on simple manual labor, so the captain gives him a chance. Joseph is handed complex tasks, which he executes with cleverness and swiftness, clearly a result from the years he spent studying. That's when we get the most boring song of the movie. It's just so acoustic Christian rock. There's nothing compelling about it, the message is hollow and generic, and they play it way too much in this film. They think it's so good that they put it in the credits. It's not. Play the one about Egypt again. Joseph also exchanges 2 sentences with this lady, which means they are in love now. Things are easy when you're a straight couple in ancient Egypt. One day, Joseph is reminiscing about the life of his youth, and the captain's wife comes to him with very nasty intentions. The movie is not overt about it, but it's clear she's trying to get it on, and Joseph is not digging it. As he rejects her advances and runs away, the woman screams, and later lies and says that Joseph was the one who made a move. The captain is furious and demands that Joseph be killed, but then his wife speaks up and says that that's too harsh a punishment. When the captain asks her why, she looks away in shame, and the man simply says,
I see.
So he has Joseph arrested and sits down, crestfallen, burdened by the knowledge that he's sending an innocent man to jail. I love this scene. It's so heavy and says so much about these characters without having to spell it out through dialogue. An earlier moment had already established that the captain values honesty.
You and your honor.
Even though that was a very silly way of saying it. So you can see the moral conundrum that consumes him. Joseph is the fall guy, all because the captain doesn't have the guts to call out his wife for lying, and it destroys the man from the inside. It's so effective. If the movie had leaned more in this direction, it would definitely stand as one of the greats. So Joseph's in jail now, and his dungeon mates are troubled by recurring dreams. Joseph overhears them and chimes in with his own interpretation, saying that he knows what those visions mean. In 3 days' time, the first man is going to be freed, and the second man is going to die. As his interpretations prove true, Joseph begs the first man to tell Pharaoh about him and his gift, but as the days go by, no one comes to get him. Frustrated and abandoned, Joseph yells at God himself, asking him why he was made to suffer like this. This speaks a bit to Joseph's self-entitlement. After all, he's been raised to believe that he is special, somehow above the rest, and this kind of circumstance is beneath him. But also, there's a bit of a universal feeling in questioning why we were made to suffer, whether you're a guy sold into slavery by your own brothers or because you have to reply to a work email. An equally miserable experience, I'm sure. We get a reprise of Rachel's song as Joseph tends to a tree in a cell, day by day looking after it, making sure it grows healthily, all while slowly confronting the trauma of his own memories. This is the blooming process that his mother once told him about, taking the experiences from your formative years and turning them into wisdom. It's a beautiful message, I suppose, but the problem's that it's a reprise of a song with a lot of flashbacks, and this movie is 60 minutes long. Girl, I just saw that happening. Also, when I first saw the movie, I legit thought his plan was to make the tree grow super tall and then he would climb it and escape from jail. After years? Question mark? In prison? Nobody ever ages in this movie after the first 5 minutes, so it's kinda hard to tell. The captain of the guard comes to get him, because the pharaoh is having recurring dreams and he heard that Joseph could help. The captain is still obviously burdened by his guilt, but Joseph, now armed with the wisdom of years of suffering, says he forgives the captain and is glad to see him. The pharaoh's dreams seem haunting and complex, but Joseph interprets them with ease. According to the man's visions, Egypt will go through 7 years of bountiful harvest, but then another 7 years of harsh famine. Joseph comes up with a plan to store part of the grain from the good years so that they can consume it later on, and the pharaoh gives him a super high-ranking job so he can oversee the production. Started from the bottom, now we're here, yada yada, we get a montage of peace and prosperity. Joseph gets married to the lady from earlier, they have kids, that super annoying softcore Christian rock song is playing, everything is perfect. Then suddenly everything starts to suck. But they're prepared. They open up the silos and start redistributing the grain. But who's that strolling in the distance? Oh crap! It's the brothers! Looking exactly how they did 20 years ago! They have come to buy some grain, but Joseph is still not fully over his trauma. He questions the brothers, asking about their family, and the brothers, not knowing that the man they are talking to is Joseph, say that they have a younger brother at home. Joseph thinks this is bullcrap because he's the younger brother, but then it turns out there's a younger brother named Benjamin, also born from Rachel. Makes Joseph's birth seem a little less special now that she's done it twice, but okay, let's roll with it. From there, drama, intrigue, betrayal. Joseph throws a party for the brothers, but then frames Benjamin for stealing. He wants to keep Benjamin in jail, but all the brothers volunteer to stay in his place. Joseph asks why they would all volunteer for a measly younger brother. I mean, he is no Judah. But the brothers confess that they used to have a sibling named Joseph, but they sold him to slavery, and they will never know if he forgave them. And then, surprise! Joseph comes clean, the brothers cry, everybody hugs, and they bring their families to Egypt and live happily ever after. I love these final moments of the movie. They're so rich and alluring. How conniving of Joseph, how cathartic to see the brothers break down and confess to their crimes. The movie can be rather slow-paced at times, but these last scenes are gripping. So, movie good, right? Not super good, but good enough? Yeah, listen, here's the problem. What's the actual lesson here? Joseph was brought up to think he was a miracle. That was bad. Dad's favoritism was unfair, it made his brothers resent him, Joseph felt isolated from the rest, no one was happy. Joseph acted self-entitled because he was raised that way, which is not cool. It's a little self-fulfilling. By thinking Joseph was special, the dad made him special. He made him study instead of working, he set him apart, he gave him shiny clothes. So when Joseph acts spoiled and self-absorbed, it's because he was raised that way. But then it turns out he really was special. He had a gift. So everything the father did is suddenly justified. All the animosity he created between the brothers is a-okay because he was right. It's actually the brothers who are in the wrong for not accepting that Joseph was better than them. And because Joseph was special, he had to suffer. If Joseph hadn't been set apart, the brothers wouldn't have hated him, and he wouldn't have been sold into slavery. But if he had never been sold, he never would have interpreted the Pharaoh's dreams, and Egypt would have suffered in famine. So the only way to save Egypt was to have Joseph help the Pharaoh, and for that to happen, he needed to suffer. And for him to suffer, the dad had to raise him to believe he was special. And the part that really gets to me, that really sinks my goat, is that Joseph simply has to be okay with all of this. He asks God why must he suffer, and he has to find an answer in the lack of answers he gets. Overcome his trauma, plant a tree, forgive those who betrayed him. Joseph is never given a choice. His whole life had been laid out for him because of some divine plan he's never heard of. All the elements come together to create the very cage that traps him. Sure, forgiving the brothers for what they'd done was a choice, but dude, what else was he supposed to do? Whether he forgave them or not, he'd still be rotting in prison. He doesn't get out of jail because he forgave anyone. It was a matter of time. It would have happened either way. Joseph's fate is inescapable. His only choices are conforming to it and being okay with it, or rejecting it and suffering forever. What a sad life. He has no agency, he's just a pawn in some divine game of chess, and God keeps dunking the game pieces into battery acid. And on a much broader level, the movie sends the message that there is some sort of divine reason behind your suffering, or worse, a divine reward. That all the ache and injustice and agony are leading to something better, and that you not only have to experience it to win, you need to conform to it. Accept that this is your fate, and it'll all be worth it, because one day you'll rise above it all, just like God had planned. And I resent that. I fundamentally disagree. It is true that the only way out is through, but you don't have to do it smiling. You can grind your teeth and fight. You have to speak up. And the reward? It's not a given, and it doesn't come from inaction. You have to build the life you want to have, not wait for a bigger plan to pull you through. Suffering doesn't make you more virtuous, it just makes you miserable. So, you have to remember that I was only ever a casual Christian. If this message brings you comfort, then please hold on to it. We all know how cruel the world can be, and anything that helps you move on is a blessing. But I wasn't raised to blindly accept this, and I didn't grow up to follow that train of thought. This movie and I operate on different frequencies, and I doubt that we will ever be in tune. And also constantly telling your kids that one of them is way cooler and more special than the rest is totally okay apparently. A+ parenting according to the story, as long as they're an actual miracle from God, which the dad couldn't even prove for 18 years. The songs are fine, I like most of them, but I don't love any of them, and they end up being overused because most of them play at least twice in the 60-minute movie. The animation is trying. By Jove, is it trying. It's not succeeding, but it's trying. But fine, it's a low-budget movie, let's forgive the character models for looking wonky 3 out of every 12 frames. I just think that, for a film, it takes very little advantage of the fact that it's a visual medium. Take the first song for instance. You can see the brothers growing dissatisfied with the favoritism shown towards Joseph. But then on the next scene, Joseph accuses them of going out and partying all night.
What do you know?
I know about everything. The women and the drinking.
And I'm sorry, but when did that happen? What, you didn't think about showing that in your 5-minute music video where we get to know this family? Or the dreams? Let's talk about the dreams. Joseph's dreams are beautiful. I've expressed this sentiment before. I love the painterly style they went with for his visions. At first I thought all dreams would look like that, but then we get to the prisoners and their dreams look normal. Later on, we also see the Pharaoh's dreams, and his visions follow a more 3D style, so I think what they were trying to do is that each character has a different kind of look, except they forgot to put in any effort for the prisoners and it just looks like the regular animation from the movie. It was a cool concept, but the execution stumbled and fell halfway through. But there's actually a bigger issue with the dreams. When Joseph has his first prophetic dream, it's a very literal vision. He sees a ram getting killed by wolves, and then when he wakes up, there is a literal wolf that kills a literal ram. Nothing to interpret here. What you see is what you get. But his second dream is more symbolic. He sees the elements of the universe around him bow down to his presence as he rises above them. When he wakes up, he doesn't quite know what to make of it. He recounts his dream beat by beat, but he seems incapable of interpreting it. He doesn't just go, "Oh, by the way, this means that one day I'll get a job from the pharaoh managing Egypt's grain supply." He just thinks, "Wow, what a weird dream." And his brothers think, "Shut up, Joseph, go back to your studies, you nerd." So it looks like Joseph is the vehicle for prophetic messages, but the message itself can get lost in translation. And then he never has a prophetic dream ever again. He doesn't dream after that. Ever. I mean, I assume he dreams. This seems to be a universe where characters regularly dream, but they don't show him dreaming again. We actually get a 30-minute gap between Joseph's last dream and the next dream in the movie, which comes from this random prisoner the boy just met. Then, what Joseph does is interpret their dreams. You know, the thing he couldn't do to his own dreams the last time we saw him. When asked about it, he seems kind of resigned, as though this is something that happens often to him.
How could you? I just do. Some kind of gift.
But last time I checked, his gift seemed to be dreaming of the future, not understanding dreams. We have to assume he somehow gained the ability to interpret them off-screen, whether it came from his own dedication or divine intervention. And again, I don't understand why this movie, a visual medium, decided to omit most of the dreams from Joseph, King of Dreams. But okay, his first 2 dreams were still prophetic, right? That's something. Except, apparently, everyone's dreams are prophetic. The dreams of the prisoners do come true. The dreams of the pharaoh also come true, exactly in the way that Joseph said they would. Anyone can dream of the future, it's just that no one knows what it means except for Joseph. I didn't read the Bible, and I have no idea what the book says about Joseph's gift, but what I did do is watch a movie, and as a movie, this lacks cohesion. We're told that Joseph is special, and then it turns out his thing is dreams, and his very thing doesn't follow the logic it set up. This isn't a Bible flaw, it's a movie-making flaw. Same thing with the moral of the movie. I'm not here to judge whether or not the Bible says it's true. I'm judging this as a film. And as a film, it's muddled. Everything seems so fixable with this movie. Show more of Joseph struggling with his dreams. Show the brothers sneaking out to gamble. Write better songs. I know it can be done because I've seen it done before. With Prince of Egypt. But at the same time, while I don't know a lot about Christian movies, the most common stereotype is that they are pretty bad. This is not bad. There's effort, there's art. It's such a solid attempt. It feels so satisfying to see Joseph come into his own and learn to deal with dreams. When he saves Egypt, I share in his triumph, even though I would have used a different soundtrack. Seeing him confront his brothers again after so many years is heavy, it's emotional. His plan to frame Benjamin is clever, and seeing all the brothers step up to defend their youngest is thrilling. You feel the love they have. They love Joseph through Benjamin. They love Benjamin because they squandered a chance to ever love Joseph. Everyone has grown and learned and bloomed. It's glorious. It may not quite get there, but it does get somewhere. I like this movie, even though I shouldn't. It has so many flaws, and when you get down to it, I don't even agree with what it's trying to say. But it hits such a sweet and specific spot for me, and that spot is when you really want to watch Prince of Egypt, but your last rewatch wasn't all that long ago, so it's still too fresh, but you really miss that Dreamworks Bible film look. This is the movie for you. Just sit back, relax, and don't think about how this dad didn't age a day in 40 years. Like a fuzzy dream, I struggle to come to terms with it. But I'm not a miracle child, so I suppose it's not my job. I just wake up after 60 minutes with a sense of warmth in my heart, even if the path that took me there isn't always the most straightforward, and even if I would have done things differently had I been in charge. I have a soft spot for movies like this one. Films that give it such an honest attempt, especially if they live in the shadow of something greater. The movie is about Joseph, but it feels more like the brothers. Always overshadowed by a more prodigious counterpart, never given the same amount of love. But even the brothers in the movie grew up and formed their own families. Maybe you don't have to be the main star. Maybe you can just be a 7 out of 10 direct-to-video animated film. It's trying its best. Aren't we all doing that too? Thank you for watching.
Well, hello there. It was very nice of you to watch this video. Special thanks to my beautiful patrons for making videos like these possible. You guys are the prophetic dreams that saved the land of the Pharaoh. If you have enjoyed the video, you can also help me out by clicking the like button, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the notification bell too. You can also follow me on Blue Sky, on the website formerly known as Twitter, and share this video with your friends. Check out my second channel too if you have the time. The link to all of those things will be in the description. Feel free to leave a comment down below, especially if it is about how much you love Joseph, King of Dreams. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.
It's good to see you again.
Hey! You two should kiss!